Echoes of the Fallen Star. In the far reaches of the Andros Void, nestled among the swirling nebulae and silent stars, lay the human colony of Arden Prime. For decades, it was a shining beacon of hope and prosperity, a world where humanity had forged a new beginning far from Earth's troubled past. Its sprawling cities blended seamlessly with breathtaking landscapes, luminous oceans teeming with alien bioluminescent creatures, towering crystalline forests, and ancient ruins from a civilization long lost to time. Scientists and explorers flocked to Arden Prime, eager to unlock the secrets buried beneath its surface, while its citizens lived in harmony, hopeful, and unafraid. But this peace was fragile. Far beyond the outer colonies, the Narath Collective, a vast and merciless alien empire driven by conquest and control, had been expanding relentlessly. Known throughout the galaxy for their cold efficiency and brutal subjugation of worlds, the Narath had become a shadow hanging over free civilizations. When their immense warships appeared above Arden Prime's skies, it was clear that the colony's tranquil existence was about to be shattered. The Narath assault began suddenly and without mercy. Their dreadnoughts darkened the stars as they unleashed storms of plasma fire, reducing Arden Prime's defenses to rubble. Cities that once hummed with life became charred ruins within hours. The Planetary Defense Force, led by General Cal Voss, fought fiercely but was vastly outmatched. Their advanced but comparatively limited technology faltered under the relentless onslaught. On the ground, panic spread as families fled burning streets and communities dissolved into chaos. Amid the devastation, one man stood resolute. Jarek Solon, a former engineer turned resistance leader. He refused to surrender. Rallying the scattered survivors, Jarek organized guerrilla strikes and sabotage operations against the occupying forces, using his knowledge of Arden Prime's terrain to his advantage. Each day was a battle for survival, each victory a fleeting glimmer of hope in a sea of despair. As the colony's situation grew desperate, a message was sent into the void, a plea for salvation. "This is Arden Prime. We are under siege. Our defenses have fallen. We fight for our lives. Please help us." The signal traveled across the stars, finally reaching the ears of the Galactic Coalition, a tenuous alliance of human and alien worlds seeking to preserve peace. Far from the chaos aboard the flagship SS Resolute, Commander Leora Voss stared at the flickering distress call. Voss was a seasoned veteran, a woman forged in the crucible of countless battles, her mind sharpened by loss and duty. Though the Coalition Council debated endlessly, paralyzed by political divisions and fears of escalation, Leora's heart refused to accept inaction. She could not stand by while an entire world was consumed by fire. Defying orders, Leora began assembling a fleet, a motley armada of 300 ships drawn from official military forces, independent mercenaries, and brilliant scientists who had developed cutting-edge weapons designed to counter the Narath's overwhelming power. Each crew member was united by one cause: the defense of freedom. As the fleet prepared to depart, Leora took a solitary moment beside the memorial wall aboard her ship, a solemn tribute to fallen comrades. Her voice was steady but charged with resolve as she whispered a vow: "We will bring hope to Arden Prime." The journey to the beleaguered colony was fraught with peril. The fleet navigated treacherous nebulae thick with deadly ion storms and enemy patrols. On board, the crew forged bonds amid shared hardship. Young pilot Tess Rylan nervously sought advice from an aging engineer who had survived decades of conflict, while a grizzled mercenary drilled fresh recruits in survival tactics. Scientists labored ceaselessly, refining experimental weapons meant to disrupt the Narath's command systems. As they neared Arden Prime, the devastation below was painfully clear. The twin suns rose over smoldering ruins and vast, scarred landscapes. The air above the planet was thick with the black smoke of war. But the spirit of resistance still burned. The Coalition launched a surprise offensive, employing stealth drones to cripple the Narath supply lines and deploying lightning-fast strikes against their warships. The battle for Arden Prime unfolded across two fronts. In orbit, warships danced through ion storms, trading fire in dazzling displays of tactical brilliance. On the ground, Jarek led the remaining defenders in fierce street battles, using hit-and-run tactics to frustrate the occupiers. Leora coordinated these efforts with unwavering determination. Her voice crackled through comms, issuing orders that wove the disparate forces into a single, unified strike. Yet as victory seemed within grasp, the Coalition Council renewed their demands for withdrawal, fearing the conflict would ignite
a larger war. Torn between duty and conscience, Leora faced a critical choice. Determined to end the occupation, Leora devised a daring plan: infiltrate the Nareth Command Citadel, a heavily fortified fortress buried beneath Arden's shattered capital city. Leading a small team composed of herself, pilot Tess, cybernetic specialist Rin Vec, and resistance leader Yarrick Solon, she set out on a perilous mission to sever the aliens' command and control. Their journey into the Citadel was tense and harrowing. Shadows cloaked dark corridors filled with deadly traps and relentless Nareth soldiers. The team's trust in one another deepened as they fought through adversity, their resolve unbroken by injury or fatigue. At the heart of the fortress, they confronted Zeldar, the brutal Nareth warlord commanding the invasion. Their battle was fierce and personal, a clash not only of weapons but of wills and ideologies. Despite overwhelming odds, Leora and Jarek's combined strength and strategy prevailed. With great effort, they activated the Citadel's self-destruct sequence, escaping just before the explosion ripped through the underground complex. The destruction of the command center threw the Nareth forces into chaos. Communication broke down, and confusion spread across their ranks. Seizing the moment, coalition fleets intensified their assault, while resistance fighters surged forward to reclaim lost ground. The tide of battle turned swiftly as the once dominant invaders faltered and began a disorganized retreat. In the wake of victory, Arden Prime survivors emerged from hiding to rebuild their shattered home. Leora, Yarrick, and other leaders convened amid the ruins to form the Andros Pact, a coalition of worlds united in defense of liberty and a bulwark against tyranny. As the twin suns set over Arden Prime's recovering cities, Leora's voice carried across the broadcast waves, a promise to the galaxy: the stars bore witness to our darkest hour. But in that darkness, a spark was born, a light of hope and defiance. We fight not to conquer, but to protect the dreams of peace for all who call the stars home. Arden Prime is more than a world. It is a promise, and that promise will shine across the galaxy. The battle was over, but the resurgence had only just begun. In the weeks following the retreat of the Nareth, Arden Prime was a world transformed. The fires of war had left scars etched across its landscape and its people, but amidst the ruins, a new resolve took root. Survivors emerged from hiding places, caves, bunkers, shattered buildings, and began the slow, arduous task of rebuilding what was lost. Communities that had been fractured by fear and desperation now banded together with a renewed sense of purpose. Yarrick Solon, once an engineer turned guerrilla fighter, became a symbol of resilience and hope, leading reconstruction efforts while training new defense militias to guard against any future threats. His intimate knowledge of the planet's terrain and infrastructure made him invaluable, not only as a strategist in war but as a visionary for peace. Meanwhile, Commander Leora Voss and her fleet remained in orbit, overseeing relief operations and coordinating supply drops. The Coalition Council, which had initially been reluctant to intervene, was now forced to reckon with the undeniable reality of humanity's growing influence and the moral weight of their sacrifice. Political debates raged across the council chambers, with some leaders calling for stronger, more unified defense measures against the Nareth and other expanding empires, while others warned of the dangers of escalating conflict. The tension between caution and action underscored the fragile balance of power in the galaxy. Despite the official uncertainty, the people of Arden Prime and the broader coalition found inspiration in Leora's leadership and the ideals embodied by the Andros Pact. This new alliance between humans, Elysians, and other free species was not just a military coalition, it was a declaration of shared values, freedom, cooperation, and the unyielding defense of those who could not protect themselves. Within the Pact's framework, scientists from multiple worlds collaborated to develop advanced defensive technologies and communication networks designed to prevent the kind of surprise assault that had nearly destroyed Arden Prime. On a personal level, the bonds forged during the conflict endured. Leora found herself haunted by memories of battle and loss, yet strengthened by the camaraderie of her crew and allies. Tess Rylan, once an uncertain young pilot, blossomed into a competent and skilled leader, mentoring new recruits and reminding everyone of the human spirit's indomitable fire. Yarrick, too, struggled with the weight of leadership, the lives lost, the sacrifices made, but his determination never wavered. Together, they worked to build not just a stronger defense but a better future. Yet, far from the relative peace of Arden Prime, shadows gathered. Reports emerged of scattered Nereth forces regrouping in the outer systems, their thirst for conquest undiminished. Rumors whispered of a new warlord rising within their ranks, intent on reclaiming lost glory and crushing the fledgling alliance before it could take root. These threats underscored a sobering truth: the battle for freedom was far from over. But if the resilience shown at Arden Prime was any indication, the galaxy was ready to face whatever darkness lay ahead, united and unbroken. The weeks after the Nereth retreat were a time of both healing and reckoning for Arden Prime. The planet's surface was marred by deep scars, craters from bombardments, blackened cities, and shattered forests, but the spirit of its people was far from broken. Survivors poured out of hiding, their faces etched with grief but alight with determination. Among them was Kalen Drake, a former Coalition special operative known for his unparalleled combat skills and unshakable loyalty. Kalen had arrived with Leora's fleet, volunteering to lead a new elite force tasked with securing Arden Prime's most vulnerable zones. His reputation preceded him, a warrior who fought not for glory, but for justice and protection of the innocent. Kalen's presence was a balm to the frightened civilians, who saw in him a living symbol that the Coalition was more than distant bureaucrats. It was a force willing to stand shoulder to shoulder with those in need. Meanwhile, Commander Leora Voss found herself increasingly challenged by the complex politics of the Coalition Council. Among the delegates was Senator Marish Ilara, a charismatic but calculating politician whose visions for the galaxy teetered between ambition and idealism. Maris admired Leora's courage but believed the military might must be balanced with diplomacy and long-term strategy. The tension between these perspectives sparked intense debates. As Arden Prime struggled to rebuild, Leora often found herself torn, balancing the urgency of defense with the desire to forge lasting peace. Their interactions were a delicate dance of power and principle, with the fate of the Andros Pact hanging in the balance. Adding a further layer of hope was Tessa Nova Rylan, the once nervous pilot who had transformed into a fearless paragon of the skies. Gifted with a rare ability to manipulate electromagnetic fields, Nova became a beacon of inspiration. Her daring sorties against Nereth remnants disrupted enemy supply lines and protected supply convoys delivering vital aid. Nova's courage ignited the imagination of young recruits and civilians alike, who began to believe that humanity's greatest strengths were not just technology or numbers, but the indomitable will of individuals who refused to yield. On the ground, the resistance leader Yarrick Solon worked tirelessly alongside Kalen Drake and other paragons to restore security and order. Together, they established training camps where survivors learned how to defend themselves against remaining Nereth insurgents and opportunistic raiders. Kalen's strict but compassionate leadership melded perfectly with Jarek's intimate knowledge of Arden's rugged terrain, forging a formidable defense network. Their collaboration highlighted the strength found in unity, the melding of old knowledge with new power. However, the victory at Arden Prime was only the opening chapter. Far beyond, in the Nereth's war chambers, whispers of a new, terrifying figure circulated: Zalcor, a paragon of shadow and psychic manipulation who had risen from the ashes of the Nereth leadership. Zalcor was said to possess abilities that rivaled even the greatest of the Coalition's heroes, an embodiment of the ruthless cunning and dark ambition that had long fueled the Nereth's conquests. His emergence cast a long shadow over the fragile peace, threatening to plunge the galaxy back into war. Amid these brewing storms, the Andros Pact convened its first council meeting, held in the newly rebuilt capital of Arden Prime. Delegates from dozens of worlds gathered, many wary but hopeful, all aware that the future depended on their ability to transcend old divisions and fight as one. At the heart of this assembly stood Leora, Kalen, Nova, and Yarrick, each a paragon not just in name but in spirit, ready to lead the galaxy toward a new dawn. In the quiet moments between battles and political maneuvering, these heroes shared a singular conviction that true power came not from domination, but from protecting what made them human: hope, courage, and the unbreakable bonds forged in the fires of adversity. As Arden Prime's twin suns set over a world reborn, the message was clear: the echoes of the fallen star would not be a dirge for lost worlds, but a rallying cry for all who dared to dream of freedom.